I've been following the coronavirus outbreak since the beginning of the year. I remember the first case was announced in the UK just days before I headed up to London for the weekend. At the time I wasn't too worried. It still seemed distant. When there's just one case, you feel some degree of safety in a city of millions. But I spent that weekend looking around, wondering where we'd be in a few months' time. Now, here we are, with 2,000 documented infections, and no doubt tens of thousands more that haven't been tested for. Suddenly, you don't feel quite the same degree of safety in a city of millions. YouTube has tried to curb coronavirus videos by demonetizing them, but the beauty of this channel is that I don't give a damn. It is effectively a video diary of my life, partly about YouTubing, partly about me.
Don't do that.
And while this will be the best documented pandemic the world has ever seen, I felt I should still do my part. For me, the overriding feeling is how powerless I feel as it approaches my own existence. When it's in China, it feels distant. But with each news story and with each new outbreak, it gets closer. Arriving in the UK was a big one. Then again, as it started popping up across the country, as the first death was announced. I think the day it leapt to over 1,000 and the deaths doubled was the day I suddenly thought, yeah, it's happening. Before then, it felt like a dream, but since then that bad dream feeling has well and truly made its way into my real life, with that sense of impending doom hanging over everything I do. Recently, a case has appeared in my own city, and now I'm hearing stories of people I know encountering people who they think have it. I've accepted it's going to directly affect me, if not by infecting me, then by getting those I know. And it's that realisation and acceptance that are the things I've always wondered about. When did people in World War II realise how bad it was going to be? And when did they accept it? For me, with this outbreak, it hasn't been a single moment, just creeping steps and moments of terror as I realise it's developed faster than I expected, or reached further than I had imagined. To try and imagine Italy or New York being in a state of panic or lockdown, you think that movies would have prepared us for this, but it only makes the reality of it more surreal. Every day I look as the cases and deaths grow. I've been doing it for months. It shouldn't surprise me anymore, yet it still does, every day. I still don't think I've realised nor accepted the full extent of what this will become. And the timescales. World War II was 6 years, Spanish flu was 2 years. With things that had such long-reaching implications, it's hard to imagine the events themselves lasted for so little time. We're about 4 months into this one now, and it's already changed the world. And I would argue it's the biggest challenge the modern world has faced in our lifetimes. It doesn't matter how far you zoom in or out, this crisis seems to consume everything. It's on the radio and TV. Even when it isn't said, you know people are thinking about it. And even when it's not, it's quickly brought back into conversation again. As an example, what are your plans for your birthday goes from being about what they wanted to do with their birthday to how it's going to be changed because of this. And shopping has gone from being what you want to eat this week to what you might have to eat in a month. Shopping kind of sucks for me. My staple diet of tinned fruit, beans and spaghetti have gone from being really uncool to suddenly being all the craze. My how to eat like me videos are spiking in popularity as people wonder how you're supposed to live on a diet of stuff drowned in tomato ketchup. My advice? Buy some hot sauces. But every time I go to the checkout with my usual buy, I feel like I'm a criminal who's contributing to the panic buying that's been going on. Panic buying in supermarkets isn't something I've ever seen before. I've always seen those places as unlimited supplies of stuff, so to see aisles empty is a chilling reminder that it can still happen in the UK in 2020. It shows the fragility of our situation, and how even with months to prepare, stuff like this can still happen. It started with toilet roll and soap, but soon the beans, pasta and long life milk went, and now seemingly random things are out of stock, maybe because one person bought them and everybody else followed. I mean, it's not like you're going to starve, you can still get a wide variety of food. I'm surprised that porridge is still there, which is another of my favourites. Get a tin of golden syrup and you're sorted. But you do have to stock up. If you're going to self-isolate for 2 weeks, then you need at least 2 weeks worth of food, don't you? And with 2 people in a house, one likely to get sick before the other, you're talking about 3 weeks of food for 2 people. You have to stockpile, or you're only going to help this spread. And what about the NHS? Hospitals across the world are not prepared for this kind of emergency. I suspect most countries will fare poorly with the challenges that lie ahead. I hope they'll end up botching, improvising and coming up with genius solutions to things, which you see happening in wars and previous crises. I just hope that these things come in time to help as many people as possible. In the UK, the NHS has suffered in the past 10 years from budget cuts. It's nice to see the government doing a U-turn now by saying that the NHS will get whatever they need, but it shows the short-sighted approach that they've been doing until now. From the point of view of a total war player, defunding hospitals because there isn't a crisis is a bit like disbanding all your armies because you're not currently at war. And the stock market says it all. I'm no expert, but it looks like it's going down. What's worst about all this is that I know it's only just beginning. Panic buying reveals the worst in humanity. Hearing stories of hospitals having the supplies of masks and soap stolen kill me a little bit inside, and for others, literally. To see the deaths begin to rack up, and to know that we've still got months left before this peaks, if not longer, no wonder some people are preparing for the worst. But there's one thing different between this and a movie. In a movie, everybody acts scared. But in reality, even though it's here, people are still carrying on as normal. Streets are still busy, there are queues in shops. I even hear people walking past my window every night on their way to pubs and clubs. I heard someone tell a cashier that the common cold kills more people a year, and I've seen one person proudly clear out Aldi's supply of butter beans by taking about 5 crates of them. Everybody else be damned. And as for the people stockpiling toilet roll, firstly, why? Second, how can you use so much? And third, why are you prioritising this over food? I guess if you die of starvation, at least you'll have clean bums. When the internet came about, people saw it as a source of information, but it accelerates everything. The spread of information, the spread of misinformation, and it quickly creates communities that circle jerk each other into oblivion. Some thinking that this is the end of the world, others thinking it's a conspiracy, and others dismissing it as fear-mongering. Can it be spread before symptoms are shown? How long does it remain in your system? Does your blood type affect how badly you'll be affected? What are the mortality rates per age group? What are the chances of this permanently damaging my lungs? And how would that impact my life? Will this affect Half-Life Alyx's success? I hear conflicting news about all this stuff. The difficulty is in finding the truth, without just believing the stuff that you want to be true. I was quick to dismiss the advice I got that shoving a hairdryer up your nose would kill the virus. But what about when ibuprofen is said to make things worse? It sounds more valid, but when so many people are saying so much, how are you supposed to know? This is a matter of life and death. For advice to just sound right isn't good enough. There are still a lot of rumours out there that need to be solved. I'm impressed with the steps that Facebook and Google have taken to stem the spread of misinformation, to give the World Health Organization unlimited ads to inform people, and to keep people up to speed with the latest developments. I'm not so impressed by the way the average person is expected to take a financial hit of being off work, while large companies are to be given billions of dollars to survive. It doesn't seem fair. I think before this is over, everybody's going to have to do their bit to help friends and family. I am, of course, more worried about older people than I am about myself. I think, if I was the one to give it to them, I'd never forgive myself. I'm doing my bit. I said goodbye to them the other week until this blows over, and am now isolating myself to curb the spread. Because that's something I can do. While I can easily hide away from the world, other people aren't in a position to do that. In my house, somebody still has to go to work. She told me the other day that a colleague came in who had just returned from Spain with a fever and a cough. A client said that they were finally able to come in because they had free time now that they're in self-isolation. Hearing stuff like that makes me want to tell her to forget about her job and to prioritise her own safety and to stay at home. But people can't just do that. That's what causes civilizations to collapse, especially as her profession helps others, even if some of them are only interested in helping themselves. And honestly, by wanting her to stay at home, I don't even know if I'm wanting that for her own good, or if it's for mine. Knowing she might have been exposed, she's avoiding her family, but otherwise her social life carries on as normal, attending social events and restaurants in the evenings. But it's hard to blame her when it's her job that puts her most at risk, and when those responsible for spreading it are clearly just going about as normal without a care in the world. Perhaps even more so than before. She accepts she's going to get it, and there's nothing she can do about it. It's just that, with that, I have to as well. It makes me angry that this is even a problem. Stupidity and selfishness help spread this disease. I can understand those people not caring about strangers, but they don't even seem to care about their own friends or families. Like I've said, this outbreak is like a movie, but worse because so many people aren't taking it seriously. I can't believe that people seem so numb to life and death. It honestly lends credibility to that conspiracy theory that this disease makes people want to visit the nearest crowded place. How can people be so selfish? I swear most people see self-isolation as a punishment, or maybe something they do to avoid getting the disease themselves. The mentality of some people seems to be more like, well, I've got it already, so what's the point in isolating myself? And they'll never know how many people are infected because of their actions, how many people will die. And honestly, I don't think those people care. And lastly, there's the government. The UK has taken a different approach from other countries. While most countries quickly closed public events, it was as though we were doing the opposite, keeping schools open to accelerate the spread, and the airports open and without proper testing. The irony of this, after years of pushing for Brexit, isn't lost on me. But for a while, despite our methods seeming counterintuitive, I thought that we were doing better than the rest of Europe, like we were a few days behind them. Our cases seemed lower, but quickly the death toll has risen well beyond comparable countries. It's obvious that there are a lot more cases than they're letting on, especially now that they're only testing people in hospitals with serious symptoms. The UK government listed out their 4-stage action plan. Although it wasn't said, it's pretty obvious that they expect most people to get it, and that it's about building herd immunity while isolating those most at risk. Scary how, in a modern day, how I'm going to deal with this is no different from how I would have done 400 years ago, which is by relying on my immune system. As a YouTuber who produces dank memes, I try to remember that I'm not an expert on pandemics. I don't want to contribute to the misinformation by saying how things should be done. There are enough people out there doing that already, so I gave my government the benefit of the doubt. They have experts. They're in a better position to know what to do than I am, even if that means making hard and unpopular decisions. I'm pretty much approaching this problem with the mentality of a Total War player. But it did seem odd that the UK was doing the opposite of everywhere else. But they could see what was going on there, surely. They couldn't just be doing their own thing for the hell of it, could they? I thought to myself, maybe the government's plan is a next-gen strat to get it over and done with as quickly as possible. Maybe they want the NHS to crumble so they can replace it with private healthcare. Maybe they want everybody to be infected so we can launch an attack on a country with the added benefit of immunity. Like I said, I'm a Total War player. Whatever the reason, there had to be some idea behind their actions. Or rather, lack of them. I understand that it's a complicated, rapidly changing situation that needs to be reviewed regularly. I understand that every change will impact a wide variety of people in a wide variety of ways. But these are lives they're playing with here. They need to lay down simple, easy to follow rules. And they're not doing that. I'm not happy with how their decisions contradict each other, leaving people more confused than when they started. They say how children are less vulnerable, so schools should be kept open. But they also say that slowing the spread is important. Pick a lane, Boris. Although I do appreciate that in this case, if they're not in school, children will have to be somewhere else instead, and adults will need to be there to care for them. Adults who may have other, more important places to be, like hospital staff. But what justification do they have for advising people not to visit clubs or bars whilst allowing those places to be kept open? I fear this mixed message will be ignored by those most likely to spread it. At some point, the government needs to flex its strength and to take concrete action to force people to behave in a beneficial way. I really thought these kinds of things would be something the UK would have planned for months ago. There will be long-term repercussions from today's actions. It still amazes me that the world has changed so quickly. It doesn't even feel the same place anymore, even when I'm walking down the same streets that I've walked 100 times before, or when talking to people I've known for years. It's made me realise that, even in a crisis, people carry on as normal because what else is there to do? I still get up and do the same things, I eat the same things. It's just that there's uncertainty about the future, and I worry because it feels wrong not to worry. And it seems naive to think that the world will simply return to how it was before. I feel my videos about topics sound more extreme than how I actually feel about them, because in reality I don't go on a heavily edited 12-minute rant about one particular thing. So even if this video sounds alarmist, it's not like I'm panicking or I'm plunged into a deep state of depression. My life carries on as normal, but I do think a lot about where this is heading, and whether we could have done more. I don't know if I'm over or under reacting. My gut tells me it's better to overreact, but all around me I see people who I feel are underreacting. I hear people joking about it, which I'm assuming is just a way of coping and not actually because they think it's funny. I don't really know what I was expecting actually. It's not like I was thinking protests and chaos, but at least masks, or an active effort not to stand so close to me in the queue at Aldi that I could have them done for assault. Maybe I am just overreacting. Hindsight is always so much clearer. One day, this will pass. I hope with minimal losses for everybody, and the day that happens, it's going to feel so good. In a way, this might be what the world needs. I'm not talking about a cull, that's horrible, but these past few years I've seen increased hostility towards foreigners, and I think having a universally agreed upon enemy like this will help to unite countries. We're already seeing joint efforts to help tackle this disease, and no doubt this will continue until it's stamped out. Good things will come from this, but it's going to be a bumpy ride. To put it lightly, I accept that this is not going to be a good year. I hope that treatments and vaccines for this advance as quickly as possible, but until then, we'll just have to put our faith in our governments and hospitals. And our secret weapon, summer is coming.